Hey guys, it's Luthais, and boy am I excited for update 1.0.4. As you guys can see, our houses are going to look much better with beds and various decorations. And yes, I just love the direction that the developers are going now at the moment. Of course, there you can see there's a furnace, looks like gunpowder. I don't know if that's sulfur. But yes, we're going to be able to craft a lot more things. And yes, it just looks beautiful. It's like rushed for grown-ups, which I've always thought we needed to focus on. There you can see the workbench. Again, same as Rust, but just much better graphics, much more detail and just a much more realistic world. And yes, guys, I'm really excited about the new update. It's going to start on the experimental server, and I want you guys to get the hype going. Now, to get our first part of our base building guide started, I've started on the UK 3 server, which is the most populated server in the UK in peak hours. A lot of the times the server is full, very dangerous area. And yes, of course, I've started as a new spawn. Now, the first thing I usually aim for as a fresh spawn when I'm looking at starting a base is the caves. Because the caves gives you various kinds of loot, and as you can see on a good run, you can immediately get 4 rags, which you can craft a rope immediately with. But yes, caves gives you really good loot depending on your timing and of course luck because of the random spawn generators. And then your second priority will be houses. Houses, of course, giving you good materials like food, matches, lighters, rags with the beds, which are very important, potassium, anti-rads, hatchets, various small weapons, which is extremely important. And of course, the caves are going to give you that more safe option. Of course, you can always enter houses from the back, as I have now, and just take your time. Always listen for any sounds. But yes, of course, the caves are going to give you a bit of a safer environment, although you can find traffic in there, but also the loot inside the caves are on average a higher tier, which of course we need the guns. And again, these little houses that you get here on their own, the double story ones and the single story ones, you can't search all the cabinets like you can in the other houses, but don't underestimate these houses at all. Yes, I would like them to enable that we can interact with all the cabinets, but these places have still got good loot, guys. Now, as you can see, I'm not finding much. I am scanning through the area a bit too quick, okay? And I will show you the reason why. But of course, this bed has always got a lot of hit markers, I call them, for rags. Some beds got very little places where you can tear off rags. Some beds like these have got a lot of places where you can tear off rags. So really nice resource for rags. And then again, the Sultan Cave being my favorite. I love the high tier loot that you can get inside here. But while you're on a populated server, you must make sure the chances of somebody being in those caves are very low. So first of all, you must make as little sound as possible. And just, when you get into entrances, craft something, keep yourself busy, and just give yourself a bit of time to see if there's anyone inside there. And then, when you feel you're safe, then usually the Sultan Cave is going to have a roundabout route. And you can always just, let the brute run after you. There you can see we get a P90. So as I've told you guys, there is really good loot in here. This is the end of the cave, and all I'm doing is letting the brute chase me around. And then yes, there I got a DDMK-18. And he gets a shot off here on me, but it's fine because you can literally run a circle here. So I normally let him detect me in the one passageway, and just before he gets to me, I run all the way around to get to the loot. So yes, just bait him away from the loot that you want to get to, you know. And as soon as you see he's far enough away, you know, just run back to where you want to be and get the loot. As you can see, a P90, DDMK-18. M9, you know, .45 Magnum, great weapons that I got inside here, guys, and every single time I go in there, it's a surprise. Now, when you get this kind of loot, then storage is of course going to be a problem, and ammunition. You don't always have the right ammunition for the gun, or you don't have the gun for the ammunition that you found, so you're going to need to store it somewhere, and that is what my main focus of a base is. So the first priority is we're going to need a plot sign. Lumber is no problem, you can get lumber at a lot of places, but of course nails you only get on toolboxes and various locations where it says salvage tools. Okay, now these kinds of factory buildings are great places for lumber which you can craft with. As you can see, every single crate that I'm walking past here can give us lumber. Every single crate can give me 2 lumber. At the moment I'm not focusing on the lumber because I like to chop the trees, but of course this is a more advanced way of getting lumber. It's just getting to all the spots where there's a lot of crates, you know, and stacking up that lumber. For me personally, getting 1 rock, getting 1 stick, you know, and a rope is not that much work. And because all the craftable items now start with full health, you know, I can chop enough trees. Again, garages are always a good spot because a lot of people like to loot them. They are quite dangerous areas, but again, I'm using the weather to my advantage, making sure I make as little noise as possible. And I need to be careful because I'm sitting with 2 very high grade weapons on me, the P90 being very rare, and of course the DDMK-18 being a really good gun. But the fact that I haven't got any ammunition for them makes me a very lucrative kill, if I can put it that way. Okay, let's say there's a bounty on my head with all the shit I'm carrying on me. And yes, like I say, the garages, a lot of times these racks are going to have great loot for you, like the propane heater top, which you can, of course, which you use for a propane heater at your base to make sure you don't freeze to death. And there it says salvage tools. So all the toolboxes, guys, and even in houses, the small little workbenches, anywhere where it says salvage tools, the small little toolboxes, the big toolboxes, the workbenches, all those places are going to give you various kinds of tools like hammers and nails and duct tape, you know, various kinds of things. But because we're focusing on nails, just focus on the areas that says salvage tools to get the nails. Now, like I said, in the factory buildings, you could have gathered lumber that would have made your building that you're planning now much quicker. But because we're sitting with a bit of weight on us, I like to do it on site. Now, of course, close to the radiation zone, you get this dam. There is a large base down there. But the first part of our base building guide is going to be what the primary objective of a base is. and that is to store your loot. Now, I'm not a real fan of hoarding loot, okay, so building a massive base isn't something that has been on my to-do list in the 4 years that I've played Miscreated. But the only reason I build a major base is for fun, just trying various things, to just be a bit creative and build something that I can be proud of, but not really worrying about, if it can be raided or not. But yes, this is what we're going to focus on in the first part. So I put my plot sign down at a place where almost nobody walks past. And my first thing that I'm going to make is a 1.3 by 3 by 1 platform, which is almost like a small table, but it's a platform. And as you can see, it's very difficult for anyone to see me in this large area. So when you want to make a small storage base, which we are going to start with in this episode, you want to basically put your plot sign down in an area where you've basically never walked past before. And if you're a new player, you need to find an area which is quite uncomfortable to build in and out of sight. Your first priority is out of sight. Your second priority is resources. I've got the dam down there, so I've got a water resource. I've got the radiation zone, which can always give me a lot of loot. I've got the tower, which can give me scrap metal and lumber. And then I've got the various spawns of deers, and of course the dog spawns, two-headed dog spawns at the top of the tower. So I've got resources for meat as well. Now, when you build a hidden unit like this, and the ground isn't completely flat, and there's bushes around, you're going to struggle a bit with the building. But like I said, the 1.0.4 update is hopefully going to fix a lot of things, and I'm hearing that they want to implement snapping, okay, where your parts snap into each other, just like in Rust, which is very, very exciting. But again, as you can see now, I haven't got the ammunition, so I've built one large crate and one small crate. Still can build a lot of other crates, but it's unnecessary to build all the crates that you can build when you don't have anything to put into them, because it's going to take up more space and the chances of someone spotting it, is higher. So always start very slowly and just build it up. And the reason why you want to protect your ammunition and your guns is because if you die, you're losing a lot of great loot, like the P90, which is rare. But you will find the ammo later in, the ammunition later in the game. But instead of not picking it up, which is your one option, and just hoping you're going to find it later, or keeping it on you and dying because you don't have any ammunition for it, doesn't make much sense. And that's why I always stress to you guys, building a small little base just to keep your loot is a really good idea. Now this is a wall. It's basically 1.3 by 2 meters long, and then you need to build another wall that's 1.3 by 1 meter wide, okay? And these little the 1 meter one, you put on the two small sides as well, and at the back you do exactly what I did at the front. 1 2 meter wall and 1 meter wall, okay? And then it's closed up. And yes, of course, you've got 10 slots in the small crate, and you've got about 45. Sorry, I can't remember now precisely. But yes, I think you've got about 40 slots in the large crate. And for now, it's closed up. Okay, but that is not our main focus. Our main focus is the fact that it's closed up. We're going to get scrap metal at the tower. And just remember, guys, when you're running around, especially on UK3, yeah, if you guys go onto the UK3 server, you'll see across from the radiation zone on the mountains are these two bases. It's very important to just make sure a clan isn't active at their base, okay? Make sure you don't see any movement. Later on, when you've gathered up the weapons, the ammunition that you want, you can use that tracking to, to raid them. If they're working on their base and they maybe leave a door open or something like that, you can kill them and raid their base. But just for your own safety, you want to make sure your area is quite clear, and that you're not going to run into any clans, because I'm planning on going into the radiation zone now. Of course, having my torch on is not a really good idea, but I know I'm going to climb the tower and then I'm just going to log off at the top of the tower. Okay, so I've got a basic plan if any of them saw my torch. And the reason being is you don't really want to run into a highly populated area, in the dark. And I want you guys to see more in any case. So there's the radiation zone below us. We've still got the bases up there, which we're not seeing any activity yet, but we've got a beautiful morning here. If I have to live myself through the game, I just took a dose. The tower, I'm waking up, and I'm fresh, and I'm ready for the day. So yes, absolutely ugly bases, those with the stacks. Of course, it's very easy to build a base like that, guys. Just stack a bunch of platforms on top of one another. Put your loot at the top. But I'm going to show you much more creative ways, and much cooler ways to protect your loot. And of course, the reason I'm starting this series now is because the update is coming. So with the update, I'm just going to give you guys more advanced tips, and we're going to play around with things and just make sure this base building thing is covered and that everyone understands how to enjoy themselves with this element of the game. Of course, the radiation zone near Sultan is my favorite, and again, it's always a lucky packet. I never know what I'm going to get here, and this time I really didn't know what I was going to get here since it's so early in the morning. I got a rude awakening with a suppressed sniper, or with someone that's got a suppressor. So I'm running around the vehicle, not to die, to figure out where he's shooting me from. Okay, and those two circles that I made around the SUV, because I can't hear where he's shooting from, I can just hear the bullets come past me. I ran around the SUV on purpose to try and see on which angles he's got sight on me, which I figured he was on that side, and now I'm using the tent as cover. So clearly when I stood up, he wasn't shooting at me, so he was probably at a bit of a higher position, and the little tent, the tent's top cover, basically protected me there for a while, and then I just used the tent for cover. I've got 50% health, one more shot and I'm dead. So, and of course there's a two-headed dog here that can easily kill me, but all you have to do is stay calm. The suppressor was a surprise. I could have easily died, but just staying calm and thinking on your feet is going to be the difference between life and death. Like I said, as soon as he started shooting, I realized he had a suppressor. I can't dictate his direction by the gunshots because I'm not hearing it. And all I can try and figure out is what angles he's trying to hit me from and what angles he's not shooting me from anymore. And that's what saved my life at the end of the day. Luckily, we survived the dog and the suppressed sniper there. And we've got our box now, which is nicely covered up. And all that we need to do now is just upgrade it to plated. So, yes, somebody can clearly raid this very easily. Okay, but all you want to do is you want to give them effort. Okay, and of course the more loot you get, the more you're gonna have. At the end of the day, you're gonna have about 4 of these boxes in your plot area. Then they're gonna have to they're gonna have to do some work to take your loot from you. And of course, when you get the right ammo for the right guns, you've got your suppressors and all your cool shit that you've gathered, then you're probably gonna keep the great weapons on you until you die and lose them. But for now, just gathering them is great. And of course, if you go out with all the cool loot that you've gathered over time and you die, you can always come here quickly, arm yourself up again and maybe get some revenge, on the other guys. That's why it's really great. And yes, the big thing here is that it's hidden, so you don't want it to be found. The other thing is you don't want a naked to run past here and be able to loot you. Okay, so if he hasn't got a hatchet on him or whatever the case would be, he's not going to worry about it. And it's not really a base, so you just want to make, it a bit more difficult for a person if they get there. Okay, and like I said, I wanted to come back to this house to show you guys why you want to repeat certain places and loot places over and over again, because your loot spawns are always going to be different. As you can see, we got a hunting scope outside. We went back to the radiation zone and got some cool gear there, and now we've got steel tipped shoes. Again, we can always rely on this bed to give us a bit of rags. And yes, now because I'm more relaxed, I'm taking my time a bit more, just going through the place. Getting a shotgun with 5 buckshot, which is fantastic. I can get a good hoodie there. Of course, I can get some electronics there. And of course, you can use electronics for large bases, but that's going to be later in the series. And yes, make sure you take your eyes everywhere. Get hollow sight in a hidden place between books, guys. And that's what I always mean by taking your time. Even places where you normally would never get something, there can be a hidden spot, right there. And that's why I say, never ignore that spot. And the houses that are on their own are great. And while you're going to the Sultan Cave from that house, remember there's always 2 mushroom spawns on that route. And here we have it. We've made a fireplace. We've got the heater in case it snows, or a blizzard comes. We've got great attachments, great scopes, great weapons. We've built up a really good arsenal here. And yes, we're happy. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you're excited for the next one, where we're going to build a base which is good for the eyes. Okay, so just a base that you can be proud of. Not really a great base if you don't want it to get raided. But if you like this video, press the like button. If you're not subscribed, please click the subscribe button. And like always, just have fun. And see you guys next video.